What's up, guys? Welcome to M2M coverage. We haven't seen you in a while because things have gotten busy. We're all college students here. Me and Edward are just here to talk about being halfway through the NBA season because this is All-Star Weekend, a good break for all the players in the NBA, and definitely some charity money going to HBCUs and all of the fun of All-Star Weekend. All four events are all together on Sunday night. And so we're just here to recap the NBA season. We're going to start with the Western Conference, a very competitive conference, but I think it's very up and down in terms of the 5 through 8 seeds. You got three clear top seeds. The Suns just overtook the Lakers in terms of standings, and the Jazz have been pretty much the number one seed for the majority of the season. But Edward, do you have a team that like stood out to you during this first half of the NBA season in the West?
Yeah, I think one thing for sure is the Jazz. I think one thing that kind of stood out to me is their home record of 15-2. Like they only lost against two teams, which is I think that's pretty impressive, especially when you're need that home court advantage. I know like people say oh there's like no fans, but I think like based on that record, like it tells you about definitely tells you a lot of things about the Jazz. Like I was pretty surprised like they were on a big winning streak, and right now they're kind of slacking. But like it all happens to the best of the team, so like I'm not too worried about it. Um, the funny thing, like when I did a prediction, I said the Clippers were not going to make it to the conference final. I was really close saying Jazz will be the top three teams in the Western Conference. I was really thinking about it, but I don't know because I was unsure because they're like the same team from last year, so they haven't changed as much. So I don't know how they play, but hey, they're showing out right now. So yeah, they're probably the biggest surprise. Um, are if we do biggest disappointment, I would say the Pelicans. Right now, the Pelicans are like they're real. If they're on their game, they're really good. Like that's the team that we're respecting. It's just their inconsistency is just like so on and off. I know injuries kind of plays in, but it's just like their offense is Brandon Ingram and then Zion, and then if you take out both of them in the like if one person gets lost out, you know what to do with them. Though, but I think recently the funny thing is I do listen to JJ's Reddick's podcast,
Mm-hmm.
and they when Zion was the feature, like their two man game is so deadly. And I especially do remember when they did talk about the Memphis game, especially their two man game was like literally was unstoppable. I think I remember. So like, and then I remember they said something about like the next game they had to play against. I think it was Portland. That's what they said. Like literally, like as soon as they inbounded, like they went to a zone. Like that's how much respect you much put respect on Zion. Like he could drive and then like he could just diss it off to like JJ. So like I'm seeing some good hope. So hopefully they will climb up again. But yeah, so far like this midseason, like biggest surprise, Jazz for sure, and then biggest disappointment, the Pelicans.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that sentiment from the Pelicans standpoint. Jazz, I think you did see that coming because early in the season when we did our early season predictions, you talked about the Jazz as your sleeper, I think. Um, but yeah, I think the Jazz are obviously we can't say enough about them. I mean, they only have a 2 game losing streak, and it's a big drop for them because they're so used to winning games. Only 9 losses on the season. We know what Donovan Mitchell can do. They got bounced out the first round by the Nuggets in a comeback in the bubble. Um, but yeah, I like the Jazz team. I like the story of them. I think people don't think that they can go far, even though because of the Lakers and the Clippers and the powerhouses that are in the West. But I really would like to see the Utah Jazz team like prove everybody wrong. Like just yesterday, we heard so much slander from LeBron when he was picking The two Jazz All Stars. There's three Jazz All Stars now because Mike Conley has been a replacement, but they were both picked last, and I thought that was absolutely egregious because Donovan Mitchell. How does he not go before some of these other people like Sabonis or Vucevic? I think Donovan Mitchell is severely underrated by his peers as well. Um, and then going back to the Pelicans, I've been watching most of the Pelicans games. I agree with a lot of what you're saying. I think they've been disappointing for me as a fan, but also like I'm not expecting too much out of the Pelicans. I think that they're an extremely fun team to watch. Zion is so fun to watch when he goes to work in the paint. The 24-point comeback on the Celtics was a great game for the Pelicans. But if you look at this team, they still don't know how to play defense when it matters, it seems. And that's what's really keeping them from stringing together wins. I think their offense has been better in recent days, but when what I was expecting was Stan Van Gundy comes and he's supposed to bring that defensive mindset to the Pelicans team, but I just haven't seen it from them. I think Steven Adams is a great addition. He's rebounding like crazy for the Pelicans right now. And I just hope that like moving forward, Zion and Brandon Ingram learn how to like win games together at the end. Because I think it always alternates between them. Like we just hand Brandon Ingram the ball sometimes, tell him to make a shot to win us the game, and he can't do it because he's in a bad situation. But if we go to Zion, um, if we mix things up, I think Zion might be better as a matchup in the fourth quarter late, just like continuously going to Zion, like Philly goes continuously to Embiid. I think that could work for the Pelicans moving forward. And also, like, just 3-point shooting hasn't been great. Lonzo Ball is shooting well, but JJ Redick has definitely been off this season. And Nikhil Alexander Walker is promising, but he's coming off the bench, not really getting into a rhythm. Yeah, the Pelicans team is just, I think they're this year they're just going to be an entertaining team, maybe bubble playoffs, but definitely not what I said at the beginning of the season, where I said I thought there would be a top 6 seed as my hot take. So yeah, but let me move to another team in the West that I think people aren't talking about enough, and I think that's the San Antonio Spurs. Um, I just I don't think the San Antonio Spurs are going to do anything big in the West, but I just think we need to like talk about them because they're not talked about enough. And every year they're in those top 7 seeds, top 6 seeds with like not even as much talent, just due to like Popovich and due to the way he coaches his players. Right now they're ahead of the Mavericks, ahead of the Warriors, ahead of teams that we thought we would be even better this season. So what do you think of the Spurs and what do you think of that like race for the 8, 9, 10 spots with the Mavs and the Warriors?
Yeah, um I think for now it seems like top six it's kind of secure. I think, in my opinion, uh, unless someone goes on a crazy one like the Jazz did, but I don't think I'll see that from any other team right now. But yeah, I think Spurs is definitely underappreciated, and I'm a big, uh, I'm very, yeah, I'm a big victim for that too. Like I didn't thought that the Spurs was going to be the seventh seed, especially. I thought they were going to be like around the 11th seed, and then the Pelicans going to be the seventh seed actually. To be honest, in my opinion, um, yeah, their players definitely who impressed me a lot is Keldon Johnson and DeJounte Murray. I think those two have been like very key for Popovich, and like especially like DeJounte, what he brings, like that 6'5", like that. I don't know what I forgot his wingspan, but his wingspan is like crazy or something like that. Like he gets that defensive stop, and like, and we don't expect him. We don't need him to like score a lot, but when he does, like he looks really dangerous. And I think Keldon Johnson is like a very sleeper pick too. He hasn't been talked about because uh, how 6'4", 6'5", 6'5", and he's playing as a small forward, but like he is so good, and he's in the Rising Stars roster, and he definitely deserved it. Um, just like how he stepped up, and he was in that Kentucky. uh, team. Uh, Even though I think yeah he's that go-to scorer whenever he needed to be, but yeah his stats right now is like 14 points and like 6 rebounds. I think that's his career high right now. So yeah, a lot of sleepers in the Spurs, and I think like Spurs are pretty unlucky with their injuries also too. Like the like Lamarcus Aldridge, I don't know where he at, but like yeah, Demar's I think he's been injured also. So yeah, I'm very surprised. I thought the Mavs or like the Warriors, right? And Warriors had some injury issues too, but like uh, yeah, I was pretty surprised that the Spurs were this high and they've been like underappreciated a lot, definitely.
Yeah, and this season it feels like most teams are having inconsistent basketball. Like winning streaks and losing streaks are very common. Like the Lakers won 7 in a row, then like dropped 5 in a row or something like that. The Suns are on a 4-game win streak. Um, Mavericks are on a 3-game win streak, but then they had a huge losing streak earlier in the season. Same thing with the Warriors. All these other teams, other than the Jazz, I think have had these ups and downs throughout the season. And I don't know how much consistency plays a factor in the playoffs because we've seen the Bucks have consistent winning record in the past couple years, and that just leads to them getting bounced out the second round or something like that. But I think it's interesting because as we're fans, we're following this NBA season. It's definitely something to think about when we're trying to look forward to the playoffs. Um, but yeah, you got the Lakers, the Clippers, Blazers are fifth. Dame time has just been insane with the absence of CJ McCollum. I think we need to give some love to Damian Lillard, who's just automatic in the fourth quarter. Man, whenever I watch Damian Lillard play, like now, whenever it's the fourth quarter, even if he's having like a bad game, like he only has like 10 points or something, you're still gonna give the ball to him because he can just turn it on like a switch. And then obviously the Nuggets, who are in the conference finals. Um, yeah, Nuggets and Blazers. I just don't know what to make of all of these teams in the middle of the West because I feel like the West is so up for grabs, especially with AD. We don't know what's going to happen with AD.
Yeah. Uh, oh, like I'm pretty sure. I've been talking like everyone knows I'm the Lakers fan, and I think some people think it's like, oh, you worry about you know the Lakers are losing. I'm not particularly surprised that we're losing a couple of these games like Jazz. I feel this is like the like when Michael Jordan, the Bulls lost against the really powerhouse Jazz team, but I feel like the Lakers gonna like same thing like the Bulls destroyed them in the finals. But I think like the Lakers are looking for a playoff. I don't think they really care what seed they're in. I think they're like really fortunate that they were the one seed, for sure. Um, yeah, I think one thing for sure right now, which I think we should kind of talk about, is like the Blake Griffin buyout. Uh, it seems like he's going to the Nets, which I understand what he's doing, but like, oh man, that's like four of former All Stars, or like I mean, a former All Star who could play as a small power forward and put Kevin Durant as a center. So that'd be pretty dangerous, but it's not confirmed. So that's the good thing. But it seems like he's going to the Nets, which that's we could talk about the Nets later. But yeah, I feel like Lakers should be the. I'm pretty sure like Lakers are trying to get Blake Griffin, which I wish it happens. I think we need that another scorer. Montrez is just one dimensional. Dennis is like pretty one dimensional too. I feel like Blake brings like a different game. Like he could post up and then he could shoot threes if he wants to. So yeah, I think based on where Griffin goes, like I think it definitely changed the balance. Well, not the balance, but like the how the playoff goes. So like if the Lakers get Blake Griffin, I think it'd be like, whoa, that would be pretty dangerous. I think everyone's undermining Blake Griffin. I forgot how good he was.
Yeah, because he's been on a small market team. Nobody watches the Detroit Pistons. So
Yeah,
you're definitely right. I think it's good to bring up Blake Griffin, but I think we've gotten through most of what we wanted to talk about in the West. So I think we'll move on to the East in the next segment. If you like this video, please consider subscribing to our channel, the M2M Network, for more sports and entertainment content.